Hi, my name is Jeff. Welcome back to my workshop. Today we're going to be working on these 3D printed track bumpers. One of the members of my train club, the Arlington Heights Society of Model Engineers, found these online, purchased a set, and asked me if I'd like to try and paint them and finish them up so we could use them on the layout. Thought it'd be a fun project to share with you. This is what our goal is when we're done. So steel frame with a wood cross piece at the top, and these will sit on the track. To sit on the end of the track, I've just got a piece of test track here so you can see the before and after. So let's get started. Okay. Start by trimming off the extra pieces of filament that you can see like underneath the board at the top, and I'm just using a hobby knife. I've got a new number 11 blade in here. This filament is a little tough to cut through, so you want to be careful. Watch where that knife is going so you don't slip and cut yourself if you're doing something like this. In addition to the full strings, we want to kind of clean it up so it looks even. There's lots of little holes and spare pieces in here, so there's a lot of cleanup work that needs to be done on these. As I said, one of the members of our club found these online. I'm not sure where he got them, where he purchased them, or from whom. He said they weren't very expensive, and you can see that they're made that way. It's not a high detailed print job like you'd get from a company like, say, Shapeways, or if you did it yourself with a good quality 3D printer. But once they're trimmed up, I'm able to take a sanding stick and just kind of sand those surfaces smooth. So doing it by hand works, but you got to get your fingers in there and hold it. And I did discover these can be very delicate. I started out with a total of 8 of these. At one point while I was sanding, one of them shattered in my hand. So you want to be careful with them. Make sure you don't apply too much pressure on thin areas. I found using one of my 1, 2, 3 blocks and setting my sanding stick on it and rubbing worked well. And then I could just use the handheld method to finish it up and clean it up. But this worked really well and went very quickly through large flat areas. We want to make sure we get the top, the back. Once I get all the areas done with the 100 grit sanding stick, I'll switch to the 180, and especially for the steel portions, finish up with the 320. That give me a nice smooth finish to get these ready for painting. But you want to get into all the little corners and crevices. One thing I've found over the years is that paint has a way of showing up the detail, the defects and stuff. Once everything was sanded, I went and sprayed them with a gray primer. And now we're going to start applying paint. I'm using a light gray acrylic craft paint. It's from your favorite craft store. You can also find them at places like Walmart and Target, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. Any of those places carry these. And giving it a pretty heavy coat of the gray, but I do want to let some of the darker gray show through. That'll give the steel parts in particular some depth. I also want to get some on the wood, but I'm not as concerned with the wood piece, the top cross piece. That'll be wood, because that'll be painted a dark brown later. Don't forget the insides. And we're going to do that with all of these. It's easier to do one, like the front half, and then come back and do the back. It helps keep your fingers a little cleaner as you're working. You can let the front dry and then do the back. For weathering, I'm using a combination of espresso, which is a dark brown, raw sienna, and terracotta, which is a nice orange color. Those will give me a nice rust effect. As you'll see, we'll start with the raw sienna, which kind of is a yellowish orange, light brown color, but will give the look of an older rust. Some rust color on here. And I apologize, I'm working with it in a spot where I can see, and unfortunately the camera can't, but here we go. And we're just kind of dabbing it on. We want to let it show through. And I'm taking a lot of the paint off the sponge as I'm working because I want to have kind of that dabbed on random look to it. And I'm holding it by the top cross piece that'll be painted as wood so that I can get the other areas. Then we'll move to the terracotta, get some orange, which bright newer rust, kind of on the edges of our rust areas. And then just a little bit, very little bit of the espresso, the dark brown, to simulate older rust in here. And we'll set that aside. Okay, with all of those done, I also went and just brush painted the top with a leather brown. This was from Vallejo. And then I added the gray, same light gray paint to the top, and I just put a dab on it in the middle and then used the clean part of my sponge to kind of rub most of it off. So you can see most of the brown coming through, so it gives it the look of a weathered wood. This effect turned out to work really, really well for me. I was very pleased with the way this turned out. And as you can see, it's a very simple technique. But like with anything in modeling, you just need to take your time and be patient. And if you're not happy, go back, and you can always add more paint and redo stuff, or use a little isopropyl alcohol to rinse it off. With all of those done and the paint dry, I'm going to use an India ink and alcohol wash to just kind of blend everything together and tie all the colors together. Right now it's very blotchy looking. When it's done, we want it to have kind of feel like the colors are flowing together and toned down a little bit, and the India ink wash will do just that. So I always work on a couple of layers of paper towels when I'm using the India ink wash, because it will soak in there and get onto my work surface if I don't. This just helps with cleanup. So we'll do there's the first one. We'll get the others done, and then I'll be right back. By the way, if you're enjoying this content, enjoying what you're seeing, please make sure you hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my other projects. Well, here are the 6 with the India ink wash applied. We're going to let those dry, and we can add them to the layout. Here's a couple of them on the layout at our produce yard, as a couple of cars get spotted near the end of the track.